Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this section of the course. In this lecture we're going to do a quick overview of Amazon Web Services and its history so far. And it's great to know this because you can see not only where Amazon Web Services has come from, but also how quickly it's growing and where it's going in the future. So one of my favorite quotes is from Andy Jassy, and he's the CEO of Amazon Web Services. And he said, invention requires two things. One, the ability to try a lot of experiments, and two, not having to live with the collateral damage of failed experiments. And before AWS came along, if you're a startup, you needed to go out and get funding, and a lot of that funding would be spent on physical infrastructure. So you'd be out there buying servers, you'd be out there buying networking gear, routers, load balancers, etc. And you'd have to put these into either your own data centers or into dedicated racks that you had co-location with, and it was extremely expensive in terms of capital expenditure. Now, when Amazon Web Services came along, suddenly you didn't have to worry about this anymore. You could suddenly just provision virtual machines in the cloud. And as it's become more and more advanced, it means that startups can, basically come along and build their businesses without requiring much cash injection whatsoever. And to be perfectly honest, it's how A Cloud Guru started. We built out a serverless learning management system. It cost us almost nothing to build, just our time. It took us between 3 to 4 weeks to build out our platform, and we've become a really successful startup. And we couldn't have done this before the time of Amazon Web Services. And if you look at some of the biggest startups, people like Uber, for example, or people like Airbnb, they all started out on Amazon Web Services, and Amazon Web Services allowed them to scale very, very quickly, and also to build their platforms at very low cost. So let's have a look at a brief timeline of Amazon Web Services. So in 2003, two guys called Chris Pinkman and Benjamin Black, who are based in Cape Town in South Africa, presented a paper on what Amazon's own internal infrastructure should look like. And they basically suggested selling off their excess compute capacity as a service, and they prepared a business case. SQS was officially launched in 2004, but it wasn't yet called Amazon Web Services. That was officially launched in 2006, and SQS and EC2 were some of the first services that are available. In 2007, they had over 180,000 developers on the platform, so developers took to this quite quickly. And the reason for that is extremely low cost. You could provision a server, do your test and dev on it, and then destroy it. You didn't have to, go out there and buy physical infrastructure. By 2010, the platform had grown so large that all of Amazon.com had moved over onto AWS. And in 2012, they had the first reInvent conference in Las Vegas. Now, for those of you that don't know, reInvent is Amazon's annual conference where they basically do all their big product announcements for the following year. I actually have just come back from reInvent. I've been to reInvent twice. I spoke at the last reInvent, so in 2016, and you can get the YouTube video of my talk there. And reInvent is insane. There was 30,000 people this year. The great thing about reInvent as well is they have a party right at the end. It's called Replay. It's the only party in the world that's being thrown by a billion-dollar tech company. So there's heaps of different, games and stuff that you can play. There's electronic dance music. It's really, really loud. It's fantastic music as well. And all the alcohol is free for the entire night. So there's literally nothing else like it on the planet. It is basically, I think, one of the best parties you can go to on the planet. So definitely check out reInvent if you can in 2017. In 2013, the certifications were launched. So this is there are now 8 certifications. There's 3 associate level, there's 2 professional level, and just recently there's been 3 specialty level certifications launched. And in 2014, Amazon was committed to achieving 100% renewable energy usage for its global footprint. To put that into context, Google is expected to achieve that in 2017 as well. So Amazon are about 3 years ahead of Google in terms of certainly renewable energy. In 2015, AWS finally broke out its revenue from Amazon.com, and they posted $6 billion per annum, and they estimated they were growing 90% year on year. And now it's at the end of 2016 when I'm recording this particular lecture, and their run rate has hit $13 billion or close to it. So they've more than doubled their run rate from 2015. So it is literally growing at an exponential rate. And just to put this into context, if you add up the industry giants from 2012 when the first reInvent conference was launched, so people like like Cisco, Dell EMC, IBM, HP Enterprise, Oracle, and VMware. Basically, they generated around $221 billion in 2012. Now, you would think that with the growth of cloud and with the growth of IT, that by 2016 they would have generated a lot more. They would have had positive growth, but they didn't. They had a $15 billion reduction from 2012, and that equates to about 3% shrinkage year on year. And depending on the company, some suffered a lot more, some suffered less worse. But Amazon are having a massive effect on the traditional players in the market, and we'll see what that looks like in a couple of slides. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to talk about the new service announcements and updates, and we covered this off in the introduction lecture, but in 2011 they had 82 new services, in 2012 they had 159, in 2013 they had 280, in 2014 they had 516, in 2015 they had 735, and just ending 2016 they've had over 1,000 new services and updates to the AWS platform. So it is growing exponentially, and it can be hard to keep up, and for that reason I would tell you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a new video blog out every single week where we talk about all the new AWS products and services that have been released. It's so much easier watching it on YouTube than reading through all the documentation that they push out there every single week, but it's entirely up to you. You can also set up an RSS alert for Jeff Barr's blogs. I would definitely recommend doing that. Jeff Barr is one of the main evangelists for AWS, and he basically will write blogs for every single new product or service that's being launched. I was lucky enough to meet Jeff a couple of weeks ago at reInvent. He's a fantastic guy, very down to earth, and he actually writes all of the blogs himself, so he's a great guy. Definitely subscribe to Jeff Barr's blog, set up an RSS feed so you get an email every time he adds a new blog article, and also subscribe to our video blog on the A Cloud Guru YouTube channel. So let's have a look at Gartner's Magic Quadrant for 2015. So in May 2015, Amazon Web Services was named as the leader in the Infrastructure as a Service Magic Quadrant for the 5th consecutive year in a row. Now, Gartner, for those of you that don't know, is an analyst firm. They do analysts, all across the tech industry, and basically here they're comparing all the different players in cloud. So you can see up here in the top right-hand corner of the screen, we've got the ability to execute along with completeness of vision, and those people who fall in that quadrant are known as leaders. You've then got visionaries down here. We've got our niche players and our challengers, and you can see here that Amazon Web Services is by far ahead as the leaders. They're followed slightly behind by Microsoft, and then in here we've got our visionaries, which consist of Google, CenturyLink, VMware, IBM, etc. So what does it look like for 2016? Well, basically Amazon Web Services is still is the main leader. Microsoft is slowly starting to catch, and you'll also notice that Google is breaking away from the pack, and Google is now the only one left in the visionary quadrant. Everyone else has been left behind, and they're now considered niche players. So really these are the top three to watch out for in terms of cloud over the next 2-3 years. Microsoft do have their own certification program. It's not as popular as Amazon Web Services right now, and Google are going to release their own cert program throughout 2017 and 2018, and I really think Google are going to be the ones to watch after Amazon Web Services, just because saying that you're Google certified sounds really cool, but not just that, Google do amazing things around AI and big data. So Google are definitely one to watch going forward in the future. Let's just compare 2015 to 2016. So over here we've got 2015, over here 2016, and you can see that basically Google's breaking away from the rest of the pack, and the rest of the pack is becoming smaller together and becoming much more niche. And actually when this was announced in 2015, Gartner basically added up the compute capacity of all public cloud computing providers across the planet, and Amazon basically made up 90% of that compute capacity, followed by Microsoft, who made up 5%, and then the other 5% was the rest of these players added up together. Now, Google are definitely catching up on this, so again, Google is one to watch for the future. So that's it for this lecture, guys. Hopefully that's put everything into perspective. Really, we're talking very short time frames. We're talking just over the last 10 years from when AWS was really launched as a service until now. And so the future is very, very bright. That's why getting certified in Amazon Web Services is a great investment for your future. So in the next lecture, we're going to start looking at all the different services for AWS. I'm going to warn you right now, it's going to be very long because there are an awful lot of services. You saw there was 1,000 new services released in 2016 alone. So we're going to break it up into 4 lectures, and we're going to look at every single service on AWS that's available today. We're just going to do it at a very high level. Don't let it overwhelm you. And then if you want to learn more about AWS, I suggest definitely going out and getting certified. Do either the Solutions Architect Associate course or the Developer Associate course first. To do the exams, it's $150 and you have to go into a testing center. But it's definitely worth getting certified because the qualification itself is very valuable, and it obviously shows to employers that you know enough about cloud to pass Amazon's exams. Also, we don't just do certification courses on our platform. We also do deep dives. We do everything from how to make Alexa skills to developing iOS with AWS backend services and even DynamoDB. We have a 19-hour course on it. So do check out our website if you want to deep dive into a particular technology. Okay, so go grab yourself a coffee, and when you're ready, let's start with the 10,000 foot overview lecture 1.